And here we move into arguably the most famous, at least back in Abhinavagupta's time in Kashmir, the most famous of all Shakti lineages, and really the basis for the remaining lineages, or two of the remaining lineages we have to cover. This is the Trika. Trika means triad, and it refers to three particular goddesses that are worshipped as one, and that are associated with the three prongs of Shiva's trident that is itself assimilated or superimposed onto the central channel of the subtle body. Remember, all these deities are internal mantric powers. They're not worshipped as foreign powers out there. They are in essence not even visualized that much, except in particular moments. They are engaged rather than visualized for the most part. They are mantras. So here Shiva still teaches Shakti, but again is subordinate. The Malini Vijayuttara Tantra is the most famous of this lineage, and it is the base Tantra that Abhinavagupta forms his great non-dual innovative system of innovative yoga practices in the early 11th century or so. This is the base text that he venerates as encapsulating or let us say reflecting all other tantras. It's like the best of the business according to him. Here Shakti is supreme to Shiva, and as I said, she's a triad, and we'll look at that triad now. Briefly. We'll skip this, but I've mentioned already that it gives rise, the Trika, to two successive lineages, the Kaubjika and the Sri Vidya. We'll come back to that in a moment. So, slide should be popping up momentarily, where we see three goddesses seated on what looks to be a corpse. Bhairava is not really dead here, but is subordinate and therefore inactive to the immanence of Shakti. Now, wherever Shakti goes, of course, Shiva is, or Bhairava is. But here we're worshiping the goddess, the chief of which, who sits on the center prong of Shiva's trident, we'll see this again, or we'll see it this afternoon in the subtle body, is the beautiful Parashakti, which means supreme, dead center. She's said to be the effulgence of the moon, and Para herself, in fact, all lineages we hear of Parashakti as the personification of the supreme syllable, Om. In the Trika, she personifies another mantra as well, and that is Sauhu. And on the lower two prongs are her sisters, progressively lower in both status, but also in, let us say, experience. Para on the left is she who's not so supreme or so-so, and she personifies the immanence of life in its everyday sense. Contracted consciousness is a part of divine consciousness. And then we have juxtaposed on the other side of Para, the third and lowest, which is apara, not supreme at all, that means. Ferocious, haggish. If you look carefully, even the Bhairavas are progressively sort of more degenerate, longer nails and teeth and fangs and all that kind of thing, on both deity and both the god and the goddess. So the Trika then personify all triads, the three nadis in the subtle body, three phases of time, creation, stasis, and dissolution, three particular mantras, the three phases of breath, right? Inhalation, pause, exhalation, and they are the very shaktis of this body. And when we look at them, we can bow to recognize that even when we're having a bad day and we're feeling contracted, when we feel less than Para in the center and identify with one of the other goddesses, we're still divine. And in fact, it's through these lower goddesses, literally through the breath flows, for they represent inhale and exhale correspondingly, we experience in this breath the doorway to our transcendent reality through accepting the sorrows of life and looking at the voices, even in our heads as goddesses, to teach us lessons, not to analyze these voices, but what is the energy behind the mood that I'm in? Which goddess face is she? And when I look at her and bow and say, whatever is before me is divine, insofar as that it is a divine teaching tool. This is the goddess. And so the goddess, we'll find progressively, is honored as the very phases of one's breath and one's awareness. This is the Trika.